Welcome to Lawrence Jones Cross Country. We will be coming to you live tonight and every Saturday night. This show will take you to the front lines of America's biggest challenges. We will give you a front row seat to the biggest stories, sports, and entertainment. We'll bring you exclusive interviews that you won't see anywhere else. This nation has a lot of challenges: crime, the border, COVID. The list goes on and on and on. But make no mistake, we'll also find a way to provide you with plenty of reasons to smile. Because in these tough times, sometimes you just need a moment to breathe. And with that, let's go cross country. On this inaugural edition of Cross Country, we will be on the ground in both Los Angeles and Houston as the nation attempts to cope with a historic crime wave. In just a few minutes, you will meet a mother of a 16-year-old daughter who was gunned down, shot 22 times while walking her dog. The dog came home, but she didn't. The accused killer is back on the street. Here's a quick look.
My brother said, let's take her to the hospital. And when I tried to pick her up, I just knew that she wasn't gonna make it. And I told my brother there was nothing we can do. And I just told my daughter that I loved her a lot and that I loved her.
Before we take you to that horrific scene in Houston, we're investigating the tragic results that are happening when progressive DAs let violent offenders back on the street. And many Americans are asking, is America becoming a country where we put criminals before victims? Sometimes it takes one case to help us change course. That's what brought me to Los Angeles, to meet with the sheriff of the county, the deputy district attorney. The story of Breonna Kupfer. Let's make it personal. There's been stories all across the country, even LA, of victims that are being killed, shot, stabbed, and there's no justice for them at all. You got Breonna, and that story touches the heart of the entire country. The guy that did it had a rap sheet, Mr. Smith, and he was allowed to be back on the street. Why?
Well, it's simple, because every single time he gets arrested, they plead down the case to next to nothing. Doesn't mean that crime didn't happen, but every single time there's a question about prosecution, law enforcement did their job. They made the arrest, put the case together, presented it to the DA in every single circumstance in all those different states, and every time it was, oh, let's bargain it down to something, as if somehow that advances the cause of justice. It doesn't. It allows someone like Smith to continue victimizing the community until the point he commits one that's too far. And her name, tragically, Breonna Kupfer.
So you got Mr. Smith with a long rap sheet. If you go and you look at his shots, you know, the mug shots, they're different ones. They're consistent, but there was never anything that said, hey, I've been reformed. I should be back out there in society. Sheriff, can I take you back to the crime scene of what has been released to the public of him going through the alley, making his way to Breonna? She sends a text message about 13 minutes before and says she feels a little eerie about this. Something is a little weird. She has a feeling there. He then murders her in cold blood, stabs her. He leaves that scene, goes back through the alley, goes to the 7-Eleven, gets a vape, has a 30-minute conversation, acts like nothing's happened. Does that matter how you prosecute a person like that when you see how cold-blooded they can be?
I would hope for a deputy district attorney that is on their game that will definitely matter, to show just the depravity of the crime, the wantonness of it. And it was like as casual as taking the dog out for a walk. Nothing. And the fact that he went door to door, visiting several places until he wound up in her establishment by herself, a crime of opportunity.
Should the citizens in Los Angeles or any major U.S. city feel safe?
Well, in terms of the law enforcement side, the men in uniform, be it blue, tan, and green, whatever the uniform is across the entire nation, they're working hard. Look at what happened to the two NYPD officers doing the Lord's work out there, answering the call, and they paid tragically with their lives. So they're out there. Cops throughout our nation are doing their job. Where the wheels are falling off when it comes to the prosecution side.
You're a Democrat.
Yes.
Gascon is a Democrat. Are you really a Democrat then?
Oh, I'm a Democrat, but I'm a Democrat, what was considered the blue dog Democrat of the old days, of JFK, of FDR. But this progressive wing of the Democratic Party has gone so far to the left that they've literally left everyone in the middle, moderates, both on the conservative and the liberal side, like, where'd they go? And extremism in either side, on the far right or the far left, is bad. It doesn't advance the public's interest. It doesn't resolve the pressing issues of today, which violent crime. We need to have smart people in office. They're going to do the right thing for the right reasons. And these ultra-progressive DAs with their agenda are definitely not that.
How does it make you feel that Gascon was a former cop?
I
mean, is that something in the law enforcement community, a guy that wore the badge, that had people under his command just like you? I mean, there's a lot of cops that don't want to do the job anymore because of DAs like him, but he used to wear the badge. He knows what you guys go through on a day-to-day basis. So how do you square the two?
Well, he claims that, that he was doing the wrong thing, that he had a change of heart or something. I don't buy that whatsoever. He knows exactly what's going on in the streets. He knows what the organized criminal elements and multi-generational gangs, he knows what they're getting away with and what their whole reason to be is. So pretending somehow that he had a change of heart, no. He had George Soros funding, and he's just following that agenda because that's what put him in office, bankrolled him.
I've always said, and this is my final question to you, that if you really want to stop this crime, you need three things. You need the police chiefs, the sheriff, that's your law enforcement angle. You got to have your DA at the table. But you also need a judge that's going to sign on these warrants to get these bad guys. From your point of view, what do you think is going to take to stop the bleeding today? If you had full control, you're on national news right now, to tell the public, if I want to stop all this crime in the country right now, this needs to happen, what would you tell them?
We need three things to happen, actually. Zero bail schedule needs to be thrown out off the bat. Prop 47, which laid the foundation for decriminalizing so many things, needs to be thrown out or rewritten entirely. It blew up in everyone's face. The author of Prop 47 is our DA, George Gascon. And then he took that and doubled down on stupid and then decided not to prosecute hardly anything. So now we have all three of those elements. They need to be changed.
What do you think about the state of your city right now?
Well, we're in a crisis right now, at least when it comes to public safety and other health-related affairs. We have rising crime, especially homicides, a lot of shootings. We have homelessness everywhere. It's not a good time in Los Angeles.
You deal with a lot of big crimes.
Yes.
What is your perception of your boss, the DA?
Well, I think my boss has implemented a lot of bad ideas in the last year that he's been the district attorney. He has implemented policies that he calls criminal justice reform, but it really amounts to nothing more than decarceration efforts. He is not charging obvious crimes. He is advocating on behalf of people to be released from prison sooner than they should. He is not meeting with victims. He's not allowing DAs to attend parole hearings. He's undercharging offenses, including violent offenses, not charging special allegations, special circumstances. Everything he's doing is aimed at reducing the prison and jail populations. Has nothing to do with helping people, has nothing to do with transforming lives, does not have anything to do with helping to uplift lower economic, underserved communities. He's masquerading it that way, but it has nothing to do with that effort at all.
So you're taking him on in the sense of you're speaking for the people that you swore an oath to protect. What's been the response from the DA to have, it's not just you, there's other deputy DAs as well that have been outspoken.
For sure.
Are you going to lose your job?
I don't think so. We're well protected here in Los Angeles County. We have certain civil service protections. When I speak out against him, or really against his policies,
I guess my big question is he upholding state and federal law right now?
No, absolutely not. Our district attorney is nullifying important laws, and he's doing it explicitly and unapologetically. He's not charging special circumstances. He's not charging gun allegations. He's not charging gang allegations. He eviscerated the gang unit that we had to suppress gang crime in this county. Because he wants to see fewer people go to jail and prison, and he wants to let a lot of the ones who are already in there out before they've been properly rehabilitated.
You just got signed a big case that you can't talk about, Breonna, and it really touched the heart of the country. Do you think that is a turning point? Because when you put a face on it, it seems like the reaction from the public is much different. And when you have someone that hunted her down, essentially, cased it, she feared for her life, she texts her friend. Do you think that may be the recipe to a lot of this, is highlighting the stories over and over again?
Well, I think that's what you all need to do in the media. Certainly, we're trying to do it from the public service end.
You know, we don't want to make it political, but when people see this, they want to recall the district attorney. And there's been names that should challenge the district attorney, and you're at the top of that list.
Oh, who says that?
What the people say.
I'm flattered by that. And, you know, I have been in this office for over 20 years. I love what I do. I'm committed to public service. I'm committed to working on the interests of the people and then victims as well.
If the recall happens and the voters say they need someone that they trust, that has a proven track record of fighting for the victims and not the criminals, would you accept that call?
I certainly hope to be in position to accept that call if that happens.
He's going to watch this interview. I know he does because he's watched all the other interviews, and they often release a statement. So with him watching right now, since he doesn't take meetings with you or anything, and you speak for victims, you speak for a lot of your colleagues that feel like they don't have the necessary support. DA's watching right now. What would you tell him?
What I would tell him is sit down and let's have a conversation. First and foremost, as the district attorney, why aren't you committed to following the law? Will you follow the law? Where do you find the authority to ignore the law? Because if District Attorney Gascon were following the law, if he were doing everything under the law that he could to make us safe, he would be in a much better position right now, because he could go before the people and say, crime is going up, but I'm fighting for you. I'm pulling no punches. I'm doing everything the law allows to keep this community safe. He can't do that. I defy him to do that. Go out, get proximate with the people. Stand before them and fix your lips, Mr. DA, to say that you're doing everything in your power to keep this community safe.
Wow. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.